Let's just get right into it. How about it? Right about that time? An hour class. We got a lot to get through today. You can't really talk about songwriting without a little bit of practical music theory. Okay, so I'd like to get into that a little bit today. Let's go to page 1. And I know everybody in here, so I don't need to introduce myself. So I suppose if anyone's watching on the video, then I should. So my name is Bo Lee. I'm the head of the NYC Guitar Building. There, we did it. Yeah, let's close it. Keep an eye out in case anyone shows up. Okay. So we're going to look at page 1, and we have an overview of the workshop, and we've got some great stuff that we're going to get into today, okay? Breaking down the pieces of a song. I think it's good to just think about the components that go into writing a song. And so we've got, on Roman numeral number 1, we've got a handful of things that we need to talk about. Skeleton chords. Okay, if you can write a song, what I mean by skeleton is just the bare bones chords, right? You could take the most beautiful song that you've ever heard on the radio, and you could reduce it to simple chords, okay? One of my favorite songs ever was Wonderwall by Oasis. I just like that song, right? I like that song. So, E minor, G, A7, C. Okay? It won Song of the Year, but at its skeleton, that's what's going on in the verse, right? Is that difficult? No?
Nope.
Pre-chorus was C, D, E minor. Is that hard? Not too hard. The chorus was C, E minor, G, E minor. Is that hard? So that's what I'm talking about by the skeleton of a song. It's just the bare bones chords. And you could write a killer song even if you're not a fantastic musician. Did you know that? I taught a girl lessons one time. She was, I don't know, maybe 26, 24, 25, something like that. She only knew C, D, E minor, G, and A minor chords. And she wrote a whole album and then produced the album, and it was utterly amazing. She was an incredible songwriter. I have played with so many bands. She was one of the best songwriters I've ever met, and she wrote this in the first year of playing. You know? Now, it requires, if you want it to be a full production, you could maybe just find a couple musicians and hire them to come into the studio and play your tunes. But you would have been the one that wrote the skeleton chords, right? That basic chord. Okay? Next, letter B, another component of a song would be the melody and the hook. What is a melody?
Part the singer does usually.
Yeah, it's specifically the notes that the singer sings. Okay, sometimes the notes go up, sometimes the notes go down. Think about any song, it's got those notes. Now, this is a part, kind of one of the main parts that makes a song catchy or hooky. Say the word hook. Hook. There are some great musicians that when they write a song, they're not memorable. They might be playing really technically, really hard and difficult things, but nobody wants to listen to the song because there's nothing about it that's memorable. The melody is not hooky. It's not catchy. Think about the catchiest tune that you can ever imagine. Is there a song that you heard one time and it was stuck in your head for days? Can you think about it? What's a catchy
Closing
song?
Time.
Closing Time. There you go. So you hear this one time, and then you just find yourself 15 minutes later. You just got this thing in your head. Right? There's a hook in it, right? And it just stays with you. Okay. Anyone else? Give me another song. The happy song, right? Or Happy, right? That was huge. 2 or 3 years ago. Everywhere you went, you hear it everywhere. And after you heard it way too many times, you still find yourself, it's just going through your head, and you're like, get out of my head.
Lately, it's been like, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Recently, just.
I don't know if I know that song, but it's catchy. Okay, I haven't heard it. So.
Despacito. That's a tremendous.
Sure. Right, that was everywhere, and there's a hook to it. It's like Velcro. And the Velcro of the song is really, a lot of times, the notes of the melody, the notes of the words that are being sung. Now, I'm not talking about the words. I'm talking about the notes. Okay? That's important. Next, lyrics. How you doing, guys? Hey, how you doing? Good. We're out of packets because more people are here than had RSVP'd. Can we get a couple of people to share? Especially who were in my guitar lessons from earlier. Can you guys share? And then we need to grab some of the, let's see, we have enough chairs and stuff? We've got one chair. Here's another chair here. Can we use that one? Or actually, there's more chairs in the back. You should be fine. And then there's a thing in the back. We need someone to share packets. Chris, can you guys share? Okay, cool. And can someone share back there? Cool. Okay, next. What's the next next letter underneath that Roman numeral number 1? We're talking about the parts to a song. Lyrics. Okay? Lyrics get attached to the melody. Lyrics is what makes a song meaningful, right? It gives it its meaning. Just by having notes that you're singing with no words, it's not going to have the same type of meaning. You can attach some kind of like content using the lyrics, and that's really important. That's something else you're going to have to add. Next, rhythm. You can write the skeleton chords for a song, right? So we were talking about song Wonderwall. There's no rhythm going on, right?
Right.
After you write the skeleton chords for a song, you can figure out what rhythm you want to have later, right? Do you want it to be a reggae song? Today's gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. I know you should somehow realize what you're not to do. I don't believe that anybody feels. Okay, did that sound horrible? No, it didn't sound horrible, but it's very different than this. Today's gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should somehow realize what you're not to do. I don't believe that anybody feels. See, they're gonna have different emotional impact, and so you're gonna have a choice. You know, what rhythm do you want to attach to the song that you write? And you don't have to choose that right at the beginning, right? You can choose that in the end, after the song is already written. We don't know the songs that we've heard on the radio. We have no idea what they sounded like when the songwriter was sitting alone in their bedroom writing it by themselves. You know, a lot of these choices you can make afterwards. Finally, the arrangement. Okay, the arrangement of the song. After you take a song that was written just on the piano with simple chords or just on the guitar with simple chords, later on you can bring in other guitarists and you can decide, okay, what parts are all other guitarists, other pianists, trumpet, bass player, background vocalist, and you can add all of this stuff, bass player. And you can kind of make it into this full orchestrated piece, right? That's called arrangement. Say arrangement.
Arrangement.
And it's a very important part of a song, but it comes at the very end.
It
So
can be different.
Huh?
It can be different at any time, right?
What can?
The arrangement, you can change it depending on who's performing it or where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you see on YouTube a lot of times when people do remixes of songs, or they'll do a cover song, right? They play it in their own way, and it sounds great. Sometimes there's songs. Bob Dylan wrote the song All Along the Watchtower, and Jimi Hendrix made it famous. I think Jimi Hendrix's version is like amazing. I like it way better than Bob Dylan's song. even though I do like Bob Dylan, I think that Hendrix version was like historical. I mean, like,
Yeah, and they talk about Crazy, for example, by Willie Nelson. I mean, Patsy Cline is just...
right. Many people redo songs and they rearrange stuff later on. Okay? So let's talk about these pieces one at a time. Let's break it down a little bit more. Skeleton chords. This is critically important. Okay? For those of you in my intermediate class, you guys already feel comfortable with this concept, but I do need to take just 15 minutes and I need to talk about this, okay? It is perhaps one of the coolest and most important things you'll ever learn about music. It explains how it works. Like, how do you know what chords are going to sound good together? How do you write a song in a key? You guys ready for this? Got to turn your brains on for this one. We're going to move fast. Number 2, page 2. Page 2. That shows all the notes that exist in order. And there are 12 different notes that exist. You have C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, and B. How many notes were those? Different notes? There's 12. Okay. A song is written using only 7. Did you guys notice that sometimes there's notes that sound out of tune or out of key or something?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound right? I'll give you a little example of that. So, playing chords in the key of G, and I'm going to hit some notes, and you'll tell me, raise your hand if you hear anything that sounds out of tune or out of key.
Right there. Okay.
Something's off. So why?
Because it doesn't fit in the pattern of that key.
Yes, let's break that down and explain, okay? So there are 12 notes, and in a key, there are only 7 notes that are going to sound good. How do you figure out what notes are going to sound good? Well, let's go to the next page, and we're going to talk about this real quick, okay? See this? That shows you all the notes in order. Okay? Now, circle the A.
Grid.
Yeah, up on the grid right here. Circle the A. And above that, put the number 1. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 8 are the same. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? Do and do. Okay? So there are, what we need to do is we need to basically go whole steps between all of those numbers. See, from A to A sharp is a half step, but A to B is a whole step. So we're going to go 8 notes forward, and we're going to go a whole step in between all of them, except in 2 places. I want a half step between 3 and 4, and a half step between 7th and 8th note. So let's do this. Ready? First note is A. What's the second note?
B.
B. A whole step forward. So circle B, and write 2 above that. Third note is going to be a whole step from there. C sharp, circle that, and then put a 3 above it. Okay, and 3 and 4 is a half step.
So it'd be D.
That would be D. Circle that and write a 4 above it. Whole step to the 5 note, which would be E. Whole step to the 6th note, which would be F sharp. Whole step to the 7th note, which would be G sharp, and then a half step to A. That is the most important thing you will ever learn about music theory right there. It's like learning addition for a business person. Okay? It's non-negotiable, you got to learn that. So here's what happens. We found our 7 notes, 7 different notes in the key of A. What are the 7 notes in the key of A? Tell me the 7 notes.
A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp.
Yes, those are the 7 notes. So if I wrote a song in the key of A, my melody could be used up. Any of those notes could be the melody, the notes that I would sing. If I wrote a song in the key of A, and the chords were in the key of a lead guitarist could solo on any of those notes that you just circled and they would sound good. But if you were to sing or play any note that wasn't circled, what would happen? That's what you heard when you heard those bad notes. That's exactly what you heard. Okay? It's really important. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come down here and we're going to find the notes in the key of G. So go ahead, underneath 1, write the note G. Underneath 1 right here, write a G. Okay? Now, do you see that there's 2 little triangle things on there, right? That's going to remind you where the half steps are. But everything else needs to be a whole step apart from each other. So G is the first note. What's the second note? It needs to go a whole step forward.
A.
What do you guys think?
A.
A. It's A. Okay? That's a whole step forward from G. See? G, you go a whole step and it'd be an A. This will kind of help you to find out where the notes are. Okay?
And that will be on the 3, right? The 8.
A is the 2. What would the 3 be? You got to go another whole step. From 2 to 3 is a whole step. What would it be?
B.
B. It's B. Right? B in underneath 3. Third note to the fourth note is how far?
Half.
It's only a half step. What's a half step from the B?
C.
Write the C underneath 4. From 4 to 5 is a whole step.
D.
What's a whole step from C? D. Okay, D is the 5 note. What's the 6th note?
E.
E.
E. What's the 7th note? Another whole step?
F sharp.
F sharp. And from 7 to 8 is a half step, and what does that take you to?
G. G.
So you started on G and you ended on G, and that means you just won.
So that's when you do it from the, when you start from the G, that shows the same pattern, but starting from the G.
Right.
But it's
So-
in the same chord as A.
So every key, we call this keys, the grouping of the 7 notes that work together. We call it the key of G, or the key of A, or the key of B. Okay? You just found the notes in the key of G. Up above, you circle the notes in what? The key of A. Every key works that way. Okay? Now, down here, I want you to write the notes in the key of G again. Write the notes in the key of G, down underneath 3.
Underneath what? 3?
Yeah, underneath this third part, right? G, A, B, C, D, E, F, sharp. Okay? Yeah, that one you can. Yep. Yep. Okay, now underneath the 1, I want you to write major chord. I want you to write major, write it vertically, major, the word major, underneath G. So G, major, vertically. Next one, I want you to write A minor, write it vertically.
Under the A?
Underneath the A, write the word minor vertically. I'm teaching you the chords that you can use when writing a song. Underneath the 3, write the word minor. B minor. Underneath 4, write the word major. C major. Underneath 5, write the word major. D major. Underneath 6, write the word minor. E minor. Underneath 7, write diminished. F sharp diminished. Those are the chords in the key of G. If you want to write a song in the key of G, those chords would all sound good together. The melody that you could sing would be those notes, and they would sound good. If you hit a note that was not on that scale, it would sound out of tune. Remember when you guys cringed when I was playing the guitar? That's technically what sounds right. Okay? Now, if you were to erase those notes in the key of G and put in other notes there, the chords would stay the same. Okay? So if you put the notes in the key of A right there, but you kept those chord names, they would stay the same.
It would still be major, minor, minor.
It would still, the 1 and the 4 and the 5 would be what kind of chord?
Major.
2, 3, and 6 would be?
2, 3, and
Minor.
6 would be minor.
7 would be?
Diminished.
And where would the half steps be?
Between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8.
That's exactly it. So, flip the page, and I brought you to a little shortcut, okay? I wrote the keys out for you.
Number 5 is major too. I'm sorry, I
What?
missed that.
It's
Number
major,
5
Yes.
is major.
So right here, I reminded you what kind of chords they are. So let's look at this. Here are the chords in the key of A major. Here are the chords in the key of B major, C major, D major, E major, F major, G major. Do you notice that the 2 chords are always what kind of chord? See
Minor.
there's a little M?
Yep.
These are always minor. 3 chords are always what?
Minor.
4 and 5 are always?
Major.
6 is?
Minor.
7 is?
Diminished.
You got it. So if you want to write a song in the key of A, you could use that 1 row of chords.
And that justifies a song.
And those would sound fantastic together.
Just like,
Okay? Let's try it. Someone pick a key.
go with D.
D. Okay? Let's try it. I'll start with a D. And then you yell out another chord and let's see what it sounds like. Don't do the 7th chord though. Because Americans don't really like the 7th chord. It sounds weird. Huh?
Wait, I'm sticking on the D chord, right?
Yeah,
A minor's okay. Yeah. A minor's okay.
A
major.
Which one?
A major. Okay, now listen to those chords. Listen to those chords. D, G, E minor, A. Did that sound like a song?
Yes.
You randomly threw out chords and they're in the same key and it sounds good, doesn't it? Okay, so we had a 1 chord, 4, 2, 5, 1, 4 chord, 2 chord, 5. See that? So that, using that theory, and this is just an introduction because we don't have a lot of time to talk about like it more in depth. We could go more in depth in it, but that's the gist of it. And that's what it means to play in a key. Every song that you hear on the radio is in a key. It might be in the key of A. Might be in the key of C. Might be in the key of D. What does it mean to be in the key of D?
How many sharps and flats?
You're basically using the chords in the key of D. Okay? You can talk about it more later, but that's something you want to consider when you're writing songs, okay? Pick a key for the song to be in. Yeah?
The real question is what pattern sounds the most efficient, the best pattern when you play with those chords?
The 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords are the most popular. Almost every song you hear on the radio is made out of the 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords.
1,
Just so
4,
you know. You would be shocked. No, they never use the 7, really. Despacito. Okay, I have no idea how to play this song, but I don't know the song. But essentially,
How about I've got a girl crush. Hate to admit it.
no idea.
No idea.
No idea. Essentially, my point is the 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords are the most popular, and almost every song that you're hearing on the radio is like 90% 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords. Okay? So you can write that song. That's how you can take care of the lyrics. Now, let's go back to page 1. That's all the theory we're going to talk about today, or for now. The melody and hook. Okay? You want to write a song that has a catchy hook that sticks in people's heads. Okay? Amateur songwriters, you go to let's say like an open mic or something, and they play their song, and there's nothing about it that is memorable. It might be a fine song, but there's nothing that's memorable. And that means that something is weak in the melody hook area. Okay? So what we can do to analyze melodies, just for fun, is we can put our hands like this. Put your hand like this. Okay, just for fun, we're going to do Mary Had a Little Lamb. There's no hook to it, but... Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. You see, we're analyzing, is it going up, is it going down? How far is it jumping? How far is it jumping down, you know? And so we can take songs that you know that have a catchy melody, and you can analyze it in terms of, you know, is it bouncing around, or what's happening? What's the characteristic that makes this catchy? Let's think about. I want to think of like a award-winning song. Let's think about. It's a Beautiful Day. Beautiful Day by U2. You guys remember that song? It won
different music for sure.
Sure, but this was like Song of the Year. It won like National Song of the Year for I don't know, for the American.
I never listened to you too. Go ahead, I'll look it up.
Right, but I'll sing it for you and we can analyze it, okay? Like whether or not you listen to U2, that's a whole different thing. But it won Song of the Year, as did Viva La Vida, as did Wonderwall, I believe.
Yeah.
So these are the songs that I'm bringing up for you. They were literally ranked Song of the Year. They were probably the most listened to songs of the year. Okay, now listen to Beautiful Day. The heart is aglow. Do 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 do. And then the chorus goes, it's a beautiful day, don't let it slip away. Dun, 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 dun. You see, there's tons of bouncing, right? That's a characteristic that I think, if we analyze it this way, makes for a melody hook. There's a lot of bouncing around, a lot of going up, down, just bobbing around. It's almost playful, right? R&B is known to have fantastic melodies. And so I was in a pop rock band, but I love listening to R&B melodies because I liked R&B. I thought the melody was fantastic, right? You could take some of the things that you're learning in R&B melodies and you can apply it in other forms of music to make it catchy, something that's memorable. Okay? So when you're writing a song, if you analyze your melody in terms of the hand, right? Is it very kind of staying in one place and kind of boring? Or do you see a lot of even visual bouncing going on? That can help to make something a little more hooky and catchy, yeah.
And if we were to chart out all the notes in any one of these melodies we're talking about, they would all fall within the key the song is in.
That's exactly it.
On those 7 notes.
Yes. There are some exceptions, but for a massive general rule, that is definitely the way that it is most of the time. Okay? Cool. Okay, so we talked about skeleton chords, how to find the chords that are in a key. Then we talked about how to get an interesting melody hook. Now let's talk about lyrics. If you're going to write lyrics, I do think that it's nice to let the lyrics and the melody kind of develop together, right? Because they're going to be together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you could take your journal and you could write down some lyrics that are totally separate from chords, totally separate from singing and vocals, right? But I think it's nice to let them develop together. Okay, so what I would do is I would like to grab a guitar and I would pick a chord progression. 4 chords maybe. I would want them to fit in a key, right? So you can select a key that works for you. For people in my beginner class, raise your hand if you're in my beginner class right now. Okay. You're learning chords in the key of G. G, C, D, E minor. Look on that chart again, the chord chart. What page was that?
Page 4.
Go to page 4. I said G, C, D, E minor. Those are the chords that you're kind of majoring on right now. What numbers are those? 1, 4, 5, and 6, right? Do you notice that pretty much all the songs that we're playing use the 1, 4, 5, and 6? I told you 1, 4, 5, and 6 make up a massive percentage of the songs that we listen to. Check it. Really interesting, right? So let's say I took a 6 chord, E minor, and I went to a 4 chord, a C. Then I went to the 1 chord, G, and then the 5 chord, D. Key of G. Okay? What mood does that make you feel? Introspective? Okay, so what I like to do is I like to create a chord progression which will induce feeling. It will create a mood. And I sit there and I let that feeling I just kind of brew in it. You know what I mean? Just like you put a tea bag in water and you just let it steep there for a little bit. I just kind of like let it. And I let that give me a feeling. Got my songwriting journal right in front of me. And I begin to let words and a topic and melody develop together, being inspired by the mood of the chord progression. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think that that's a great way to anchor chord progression, lyrics, and melody and make sure that they are in sync with one emotion together. I think it sounds I think it results in something fantastic. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Good. Sorry.
Michelle, I have your jacket.
Great. Thank
So,
you.
cool.
Fabulous.
Yep. Are there any chairs left? Maybe over there? Is that a chair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any more handouts?
We're out.
No, okay.
We're out because people RSVP'd on Meetup, but some of my intermediate and beginner students decided to hang around, so we're just like out of packets. So does that make sense, guys? Letting them kind of develop together. And when it comes to lyrics, here's a recommendation. All right? I used to write lyrics in a songwriting journal, and I can give you a couple of best practices. I would use the very back sheet, back piece of paper in my journal as an ideas, part of my journal, okay? When you're writing a song, it is great to have a hooky, catchy line in the chorus. Do you agree? Something that just sticks with you. And so once in a while when I'd be walking around, something would pop into my head and I'd be like, that would be a fantastic title for a song, or would be a fantastic primary sentence in the chorus. And I would go to the back and I would write it down. And there would be a little bank that I could glean from, maybe someday in the future if I wanted to write a song. I think that's very useful. In the front, when it was time to write a new song, again, I would pick some chords and I'd start playing them, and they would produce a mood in me, right? And I would sit there with my songwriting journal in front of me, and I would start to write. And as I would write these ideas, I would be singing it or humming a melody. It would be very unstructured and totally abstract, like ridiculous. I would be so humiliated if anyone heard me. Like, I'd be, the sunshine, the wind, just letting like ridiculous lyrics pop out that make no sense. I don't even know the topic necessarily yet. I just start to jot stuff down. It needs to be very random. It's not a science, it is an art, right? I would let lyrics flow, and that sheet or that piece of paper in my journal would be just shot. Lyrics everywhere, going diagonal, upside down. I'd run out of room. I would draw a picture. Just fill that thing up. Do not filter yourself. And you might want to fill up three pieces of paper with massive amount of lyrics. And over time, as you spend hours kind of brewing with the melody, the lyrics, you see a topic begin to develop. Okay? And you will start to delete certain sentences that don't have to do with that topic. That is just irrelevant, right? But some of these from the different sheets, you'll bring them together and they will start to form verses. They will start to form choruses, pre-choruses, bridges, right? But it develops very abstract and you need to let it flow through that process. Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions on that yet?
Yeah, do you know there's a difference between writing on paper and typing?
I think songwriters generally like to stay really kind of like raw and then go back to the old paper and pen, right? But I think that's it could be changing. Newer generation might just want to be typing it up. I think it's up to you. It's just gotta be raw for you, and you gotta be able to stay connected to the emotion. If you have emotion behind what you're writing, the odds are the song is going to be a lot better. That's why people, when they go through something very emotional, usually the best songs of their life come out of that situation. It really does. It impacts you because it's like something in your soul is like singing out. I don't mean to get all abstract, but it's true. It is actually true. You produce great art when there's human emotion attached to it. So it's kind of cool, actually. It's a very special thing. Okay, after that, let's go back to page 1. Okay, after you have, let's say, the chords for a song, and you've developed the melody and lyrics, and it's all kind of coming together, and you have kind of like the structure, you have a basic song done. It doesn't have to be all frilly, it doesn't have to be all difficult to play, but it's a song. At this point, you will want to decide, what do I want to do with the rhythm? How fast do I want to do it? What kind of rhythm am I going to play with it? Is it going to be a rhythm is it going to be this type of rhythm? Is it going to be like this? Or is it going to be like this? Or is it going to be like this? Got that? So these are some choices that you can make. And then, finally, arrangement. A lot of times there will be more than one instrument playing. Okay? So you might have some friends that play piano, friends that play bass, drums, violin, whatever you need. And what you can do is you can print off the document when it's all done. You type up the lyrics. You can either type up the chords above the lyrics like we often do, or you can write them in. But you print it off and you get together and you have a jam. 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, whatever. And you begin to teach people your song and you show them what's going down, right? And what's going to happen is each instrument is going to have to decide what they're playing. When are they going to play? What parts of the song will they remain silent, right? Drum might be playing soft in the verse. In the chorus, smashing the cymbals and just getting loud, right? These are the choices that have to be developed. Do you have a second vocalist? Is that vocalist going to be doing harmonies, right? Or are you a female vocalist and are you going to be singing high? Are you bringing in a male vocalist who will be singing the same melody notes but low, octave, moving around, right? These are all choices that you'll want to make during this part of arrangement. And the arrangement part is when it gets shocking that the song that you wrote can actually sound really cool when you have other instruments playing. It's really quite fun. Has anyone ever played with a band? Just one person? You two? You? Okay. It's kind of fun, right? When you start hearing songs, kind of come together with a group. Very, very fascinating for how that works. Okay, so the final thing that we want to really talk about is go to page 7. Okay. So there are a few different song structures that you can use, right? What is a chorus? How would you explain a chorus? What do you think?
It's like you have a piece of poetry and then you have like a chant part, and then a piece of poetry and then like a chant part. That's the chorus, right?
Yeah.
You say the same thing, couple of lines, and it repeats throughout, and if people are joining in, that's where they join in, and then the lead will sing a little melody, like the poetry piece, and then the chorus.
Yeah, it's that part that is repeated throughout the song, and that's usually kind of like that centerpiece for the song, right? Verses, they have an opportunity to say quite a bit of stuff, and usually there's several verses, right? And the verses don't typically say the same thing. Okay, so it's your opportunity to get a lot of lyrics into the song. So look at this first line. This is an idea for a song structure. It's the most basic song structure for the most part. Hymns, like old hymns, probably use this quite a bit, where it's just verse, chorus, verse, chorus. But usually they're going to go like 5 verses. It's like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and it's just like nonstop, right? That's an easy way to set it up. Chorus would probably have the same lyrics. Verses would probably have different lyrics, but kind of like adding to the theme of the song. Got that? Now go to the second line. This is a little more advanced. This is probably the most common songwriting structure that exists. You have verse, and then a chorus, and then a verse, and then a chorus. By this time, you're probably 2.5 minutes into the song, or 2 minutes into the song. Okay? You've heard verses already, right? You've heard choruses. Do you want to hear another verse now?
Nope, give it
You want a little change, okay? And that's what the bridge is. The bridge is a part of a song. They just decide by this time in the song, someone wants to hear something new, and then they throw in a new part called the bridge, and then they'll usually finish up with a chorus. Can anyone think of a song that uses that chord structure?
I think Day in the Life.
Okay.
When Paul McCartney comes in, woke up, got out of bed, would that be the bridge, or is that like a whole departure?
I don't know that song, so
I think that's always.
I know.
It's in the
kind of-
song.
That may be a little off, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that may be a bad example.
But
You don't know what
this-
Day in the Life?
No.
Sgt. Pepper, you should check it out.
Okay.
It's a popular
I
album.
mean, I'm sure I'd hear. I know Sgt. Pepper, but I'm not sure if that song comes to mind. But I maybe recognize it. I just might not know it by name.
Yeah.
So just think about it. About 2/3 of the way through the song, a lot of times you see a bridge pop up, and it's different, right? It's different from everything else.
Doesn't it sometimes occur like sort of almost in the beginning and then also at the end? Would that be like another way to do it? Or is it typically sort of at the end?
I think typically it's typically towards the end, but I'm sure that there are many examples of songs that follow the structure that you're talking about. But this is the most common structure. Then the bottom one is similar, and this goes verse, but before it goes to the chorus, it has a pre-chorus, okay? And then it goes to chorus, and then verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, then bridge, chorus. So basically the only difference is that it throws in something called a pre-chorus. Think of it, if I can give you an example of that. Okay, here's probably a verse. The turning point of fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So now it changes a little bit, but it hasn't got to the chorus yet. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. Chorus? Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. So before we hit the chorus, you kind of sense two different parts. And so you might think about that in terms of a verse, pre-chorus, and then a chorus. Okay? So you can begin to analyze songs that you know and think about it and learn from that. Okay? Now, I would say the last thing that we would definitely need to cover is like, how do you put together these chord progressions? Right? So let me think of an example. So in a chord progression, we could do something like this. Like maybe pick 4 chords in the key that you want to write your song in. Okay? Key of G. Could someone yell out 4 chords in the key of G?
G, C, D, E minor.
G, C, D, E minor. Okay? What numbers are those in the key of G? 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Let's take a look at this. Here's a C. That's 5 and 6. Does that sound like a song?
Yeah.
For sure, right? Do it again. Is it 2 chord? 6. And here's the chorus. Okay, so you see what I'm doing? I'm finding a group of chords and I'll repeat it a couple of times for a verse. I decided to throw in a pre-chorus, and for the pre-chorus I did this. A minor. What number is that?
It's 2.
And I did E minor. What is that?
6.
And then C 2 times. What number is that? Yep. And then I repeated that again. 2, 6, 4, 4. Chorus. 1, 5. And I don't remember what I did after that. Something. But do you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of creating, it's like a 4-measure chord progression. And I will repeat it a couple of times. And that will become like a verse. I'll make another chord progression, repeat it a couple times, that'll be a pre-chorus. I'll make a chord progression, repeat it 2 or 4 times, and that'll be a chorus. Now you can veer away from the structure a little bit, but I'm giving you like the most basic, straightforward example of what you could do if you were going to write a song, right? And after you write those chord progressions, play them. Let them produce a mood in you and begin to improvise melodies. You hear me improvising that melody?
Yes.
I'm just improvising it. I don't have to keep that melody, right? I can alter the notes over time as I create lyrics to go along with it. But I'm getting something out there, right? I suggest grab a recording device on your phone or get your phone to record what you're doing so that if you write a part of a song one day, you go to sleep, how horrible it is to wake up the next day and you have no idea what you can't remember it, right? What a waste, right? So go and press play on the recording and it all pops right back in your head right away. See? So there's some good strategies, and honestly, the way that you get good at songwriting is just do it. You know, just start to try it. And it's a very intimate thing. Probably you don't want anyone listening to you do it. Honestly, I have tons of tapes from back when I was writing songs in the 90s. Because it was hard to record to a CD when you're, you know, improvising things on the fly. So I just do it on tapes. So I got a whole box full of them. Someone someday is going to slip and listen to those things, and that will be humiliating to me. I can't throw them away, right? I got to keep them in the box. But I know someone's going to listen to them someday, and it's going to be humiliating. But that's how the albums, you know, that I wrote in the past, that's where they came from. It's from that, you know, slow, gradual process. It's a beautiful art to just let emotions produce all of this stuff. So, and I'll say one more thing too. Music is a great way to communicate something. And I would encourage you guys to communicate something of value. I am so sick of hearing songs that just talk about broken relationships all the time. And it's terrible that's the thing that provokes your heart to write, and it does, because it's such a horrible thing. But it's kind of like I wish the songs could do something meaningful, right? And provoke something positive. I wish we could maybe think of a new topic. You know, that would be awesome. So
yeah, that's cool.
Something to think about, or talk about something that has like some optimism, which would be fantastic, because there's a lot of bad stuff going on.
Shaking that butt seems to inspire a lot of songs these days.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think a lot of that though has to do with the state of the business of music, because I think the songs are out there, they're just not what's recorded and promoted.
Right.
I mean, and if I listen to a lot of Spanish language music, and that is not necessarily the case in the lyrics in Spanish language music. There's a lot
Which is
more,
cool.
a lot more positive stuff, and one song in particular that really influenced me years ago is a little song called Carita del Sol, Regalo de la Mano de Dios, which is Little Face of the Sun, Gift from the Hand of God, about children, and it just made me realize how much more value little children have and our responsibility to them, and those kinds of.
There you go. Like, it's a new topic. Thank you, whoever wrote that song.
Yeah.
So nice. You know, I don't listen to country at all, but I will say the couple times where I've been in a room where someone else was playing country and I just sat there and I listened to lyrics, I was like, yo, this is like meaningful stuff, you know, and I just wish like some other genre would do something like that. So with that said, that was my soapbox spiel. Write about something that is very meaningful, you know, put some optimism in it, would be fantastic.
Like that. These days, music is kind of like gearing towards
Formulaic.
upbeat, fast-paced.
Yeah, you can be upbeat and fast-paced and write about something positive, you know?
You got all like
That'd be fantastic.
diversity, accepting like hip-hop into different genres and stuff like that. And so it's created an avant-garde of like choices and alternatives you can take. So one thing is like exercising beats and taking that pace of exercising and putting it into like techno, bringing the old school back, putting it in there and just kind of like grab these type of rhythms and synchronize them together. They're becoming more popular now.
Yeah.
And so you say optimism, you're tired of hearing like something sad like a divorce and you know it's gonna lead them.
Hip hop actually has super deep lyrics. They tell stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious, man.
It's so
Some really good stuff.
Because like if you
Not all of it, but
you can,
there's some independent hip hop artists are writing about very meaningful issues. Not the mainstream stuff. It's usually really dirty and just raunchy. I don't know why.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
Yes,
like,
there is.
if you want
For
to create
women.
an
I don't like it.
artistic piece and you want to make an expression, you don't want to say something like, hey, you know, your mama just took my wallet. You want to be like, oh, where's my wallet? Yeah, mama. And but you want it to sound like a metaphor, though. You don't want to, that's my problem with
Say it in a
hip-hop.
new way.
Yeah. That's what you
Guys, actually, we're supposed to be out of here in 1 minute, okay? But thank you for coming today. I think it was really cool. I'll see like most of you guys next week for lessons. For anyone who's interested or has friends that are interested, go to the last page, last 2 pages. It just talks about some of the classes we teach for the NYC Guitar Group. We have true beginner classes, intermediate classes, advanced master classes, and private lessons and all that good stuff. So you can check that out if you're interested. So yeah, this was cool. I like to see you guys write some lyrics. That would be fantastic. Anyone come from Meetup? Raise your hand if you came from Meetup. Okay, Meetup. I'm saying for this class specific. This class. If you found out from Meetup, I would like you to be able to take one of the packets. I have a packet here if you want to take it, an extra packet. You want to take that? Okay, cool.
Your pen.
Cool, thanks. Have a great week, guys, and we got to get out there already, like, peeking through the window here. So. Have a good one. We have to get out of here so we can talk outside if we need to.